CB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where yes, we have so much to discuss, and it's so much good news coming up in today's video. Of course, it all centres around the colossal signing of Rodri in midfield. The deal now, it is done. He is coming, and we're going to be discussing just what that means, not only to the starting lineup, not only to the squad, but, the whole club right now. What a signing of that stature could do for Barca this season. We're also going to be discussing plenty more on transfers, as we have seen yet another link in terms of a number 9 alternative. We've got to discuss the rumours linking us to Victor Gyökeres. It is all coming up here today, so get ready and let's do it. But if we do, first of all, begin with the pre-season game that we saw from Barca yesterday, because we need to talk about this, guys. It was a really interesting and really encouraging performance that I would say from Barca against Basel. They certainly didn't have any trouble at all scoring 5 goals in our favour, and we did concede 2. And of course, this is pre-season, so you can't look at the result, a whole lot. I would say there that we scored goals for fun, that we did look dangerous, that there were plenty of attacking threats on show. I would also say there's plenty to tighten up, in that performance, particularly, again, looking defensively. There's a lot that we can do there just to make sure that we're not conceding unnecessary goals. But yeah, in terms of the attacking side of the team, it was interesting to see what Hansi Flick did in terms of that number 9. There's no Lewandowski, there's no Ferran, there's no Rashford. And what we saw was a very fluid-looking team. Rafinha played a little bit of a part there in that false 9 role. We also saw Yamal come on and play quite centrally there in the number 10 position as well. You had Karim Adeyemi on the right-hand side. He's also capable of playing on the left too. You had Anthony Gordon, who put in a really, really good performance that I would say. And there was certainly a lot of movement. I would say that Barca looked very unpredictable in the way that they played, and that is encouraging. That's what we want to see ahead of the new season. Lots of threats, lots of different dynamic players who can make a difference in the final third. And let's just talk about some of the goals, because again, guys, you've got to talk about a great finish that it was from Hamza Abdelkarim, one of the natural number 9s that we have in the squad right now, one of the only ones, and he scores another typical poacher's goal. Because we've spoken about this already in pre-season here. He finds himself in a great position. He makes a great run. He times it all perfectly. And I would say as well, this finish, he makes it look easier than it is. He's actually acrobatically getting on the end of this here. It's such an emphatic finish. And I don't know what it is about Hamza. There's something about him there. He just really does excite me. His profile, his stature as a number 9. I think we can work with that. I really, really do. I think he's somebody who we need to put faith in. We need to put trust in. I do think, though, we don't want to pile pressure on him. For instance, going into a new season here, it's easy to say, well, don't worry about a 9. Don't even sign a 9. Let's just put everything. Let's put all of our faith in Hamza Abdelkarim. Now, does that help him? Or does that harm him? Does that really pile a lot of pressure on a young player here who still needs time, still needs games under his belt, still needs to develop? What you ideally want are players ahead of him, 1 or 2, who have experience, who can come in and sort of shoulder those expectations, and then he can go under the radar. He can develop at his own pace. He can get minutes, gradually build his way into this team. That, for me, is the ideal. But yeah, Hamza Abdelkarim, he's had a wonderful pre-season. He is massively talented, and boy, can this young man finish. However, we also have to talk about Jesse Basiwu. Now, this is a signing this summer that maybe did go under the radar. We did discuss it here on the channel, and we said, look, this is an exciting player. This is actually a player that Barca tracked. Deco did work very, very hard on this deal, to his credit. He was back in for Belgium trying to make it happen. He saw a lot of talent and potential in this youngster, and already he is showing that. He comes on for 11 minutes in this game, scores 2 goals. And the first finish, what a finish that is, by the way. He's in a central position. He takes up a good area. Great first touch. Away from his man. Bang. Top corner. It is an absolutely wonderful goal there. And the second goal, again, it's a good run. He's in the right place at the right time. And again, it's another source of goals. Another different player there causing a threat for Barca. So I was really impressed with the cameo that he had there from Basiwu. I'm excited to see more of him. He's another player there who you want to see get minutes. You want to see more of them to develop. There's a lot in there. There's clear potential. That's why he's been brought in. And if he does go on, achieve some big things here, he will go down as an absolute bargain. This summer, we will see more of him, and I can't wait until we do that. But indeed, guys, make no mistake about it, yesterday was a very big day in terms of transfers. And can we just talk here about João Cancelo for a moment? Because, yeah, obviously Rodri yesterday stole all of the headlines, but we did get that deal done for João Cancelo. It has the here we go. And can I just say, Cancelo has made a huge effort here again to join up with Barca. And I mean, what you have to say about Cancelo is he's made this move 3 different times now. He's joined Barca on 3 separate occasions, and every single time he's had full commitment to it. You cannot doubt here his love for the club. I believe there that he sacrificed some wages at Al Hilal in order there to get his contract terminated, paving the way for him to join Barca. And I would say as well, credit to the Barca board here, they held their nerve. They've just been playing this waiting game here with Al Hilal, knowing they didn't count on him, knowing here that João Cancelo only wanted to join Barca. They bided their time, and in the end they did get a better financial deal for the club. So again, credit where it is due. It's a good deal here. It's more depth coming in for Hansi Flick, and we will be very, very happy again to utilise the versatility of Cancelo. And certainly looking at last season, he did have a very, very positive impact at the club. But indeed, guys, that then does bring us on to Rodri. I mean, what a day it was yesterday to receive that here we go from Fabrizio Romano. Rodri's coming. Rodri has been signed. The deal is agreed. And it's just a massive moment. I think a lot of us here, we're struggling to sort of describe, maybe to other fans what this means for Barca right now. And maybe I would compare it here to when we signed Robert Lewandowski. That was during a time that was obviously a lot more turbulent. We're in a lot more financial trouble back then. But that signing was more than just the player. It signified something. It was a real statement signing. You were getting somebody there who had real pedigree, a real top player. And I see the same here with Rodri. He's coming in younger at the time than when we signed Robert Lewandowski. Of course, he's had so many of his peak years already, but I still think he's got so much to give. The kind of player that he is, his game style, it doesn't revolve around being, fast. It doesn't rely on pace. It doesn't really rely on physical attributes at all. All we need for him is just stay fit. If he's fit, if he's available, if he can be in this team regularly, he can be the heartbeat of that midfield there. The way that he's able to orchestrate games, control games, what he's able to do on the ball is absolutely phenomenal. But I think what we're all really excited about with Rodri is what he can do without the ball as well. Thinking about this Hansi Flick style of play, which, by the way, was a massive part of Rodri coming here. He wanted to play in this team. He saw himself as a really good fit in this Barca lineup. And you just think about what he can do when we don't have the ball in terms of organising our midfield, structurally making us more solid, more difficult to just play through. That has been an issue at Barca now for as long as I can remember. Going back many, many, many years, we have been soft in midfield. We have been very easy. 1 or 2 passes, you're in. You're bearing down on our defence, and that's caused us no end of problems. You just think here, Rodri at his best, at his physical peak, he can help with all of that. Defensively, he can help shore up this team in the heart of that midfield, and that is vital. And that's why we even talk about things like leadership. Again, with Lewandowski leaving, you need players in that dressing room. It's a young squad at Barca. You need players there who can stand up, who've got a winning mentality. He's already achieved so much in his career. He's bringing all of that know-how, all of that experience with him. You need that in the big moments, in Champions League games. When the stakes are high, he's the kind of player that you want in your corner, backing you every step of the way. So Rodri, for me, it's more than just what he brings as a player. It's more than just the kind of player that he is.